Hello and welcome back. Today I'll be unveiling my final predictions for the entire tournament. And before we begin, here's a little reminder to what my group predictions were. Group A, B, and C on your screen now, and Group D, E, and F. With my best third place teams being Switzerland, Netherlands, Czech Republic, and Germany. Now to the knockout stage, of which I will give a brief little summary of what I think will happen. And to begin with a marquee matchup between Belgium and Germany. And what a sight this would be to see the two black, yellow, and red teams face off. And with what worries me about Belgium is really their defense and their vulnerability at the back could really be tested in this game, especially if Germany gets going. And I think that there's potential for some of the third place teams to struggle out of the gate, but really find their form and by the time they get to the knockout stage. And particularly, I think Germany will be one of those teams. And shockingly, despite all the uncertainty that surrounds Germany and the potential of players not showing up to the occasion, such as Timo Werner or Leroy Sané, I think that the amount of depth they have and they have at their helm, and I can never doubt Manuel Neuer, as he's easily one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And I'm going with a shock upset, and I'm going with Germany. Next up we have Italy versus Austria. And while it would be nice to see Austria as a Cinderella team, and as I mentioned, Marcel Sabitzer is my player to watch out for, could potentially make an impact in this game. I just think Italy is too good not to beat up Austria, and I think that they will easily get into the quarterfinals. Next up, we have my prediction in France versus Switzerland, and I'll keep this short and simple. There's very little teams that can compete with France, except maybe Turkey, ironically, and we'll have to see what happens when we get to the final. And Switzerland could really interchange with Turkey in terms of how they might finish in Group A, but I think France will easily mop the floor with Switzerland and make it to the quarterfinals. Now this is where it gets interesting: Croatia versus Sweden, and this is a very interesting matchup because both teams are really evenly matched. And while my heart wants to go with Croatia, knowing they're significantly the better team, I think that Sweden will keep the momentum they had at the World Cup and in qualifiers, and under the likes of their terrific team-minded tactics, will get past Croatia probably in penalties and get qualified for the quarterfinals. Now, this next matchup, these two teams, Spain and Netherlands, have a huge history dating back to 2010 FIFA World Cup final, and what a treat this would be to watch them match up again. And I think that I was a little too generous on Spain in my preview, and as I don't know if Alvaro Morata will be the kind of guy they need to look to score goals. And I think their team is very young for having been a first time team. And like with Germany, I think the Netherlands will really start to get going in this tournament near the knockout stages, and they will. I think that they will overachieve. I think that in the knockout stages, and they will beat Spain. Next up, we have England versus Portugal, and again, what a sight this would be! And we would be so fortunate to see these two teams match up, and maybe not so much for English fans, as this offers a tremendous opponent that it would take a lot to overcome. But what England has in their favor is the fact that this game would be played at Wembley in London, and I think that they could really use that to their advantage. And as a result, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think that they while Portugal easily has more quality players, I think that England has a lot more chemistry, and I think that will be apparent in this game. And I think they'll just barely be able to squeak out a victory over Portugal in what might be an all timer, or they might just pull in England and lose 4-0. There's really no consistency with how England does in the knockout stage. Next up, we have Ukraine and Czech Republic. And Czech Republic to get to this point would be a miracle. And I'm probably overrating them a little bit, but I do think they have the quality to do what it takes to get to the knockout stage. And this would be a very interesting game because no team really outshines the other. But I truly believe Ukraine has just enough to get over the top over Czech Republic, and I think they will get past them and into the quarterfinals. And last but not least is Turkey versus Denmark. In Turkey, I'm a big proponent of Turkey in this tournament, and it will show in the next few predictions. And I really think they can rise to the occasion and potentially prove the doubters wrong and be successful in this tournament. I look to Yusuf Yazitsky of Lille as one of their driving forces in leading them in this tournament. And with Denmark, I said this earlier in my preview. There's not a lot of they're a great defending team, but offensively it's a different story. And I'm not sure with Yusuf Poulsen will really have to get going. And because I don't know Casper Dolberg or even Martin Braithwaite have what it takes to really go to the next level and up their game. And I think this will be a very tight match, but I think ultimately Turkey will take the victory and make it into the quarterfinals. And as we begin the quarterfinals, Germany versus Italy, a rematch of the 2016 quarterfinals, which both teams went to penalties and Germany won. But I think this time around, I think Italy will get their revenge. Despite the game being in Munich, I think Italy is one the one that shouldn't be taken lightly, and their class will ultimately show in their victory over Germany. Once again, France versus Sweden. I think with France playing the tougher competition in Germany and Portugal early on will really benefit them in their quest to win the Euros. And I think that they will probably going into the knockout stage face some inferior competition, but having gotten that experience will be a good cause of how they will be successful in the tournament. And I think that they ultimately win this game against Sweden, and Sweden's run will fall short. Next up is Netherlands versus England, and a part of me wants to put England again into the semifinals. You know, it's coming home, like they say, but I don't believe that. I think their run will fall short. I think they will give a valiant effort against the Netherlands, but I think that contrary to what I said in my Group C preview, where I wasn't so hot on Netherlands, I think they will learn from their poor form in the knockouts in the group stages and their disappointing form. If they were to finish third, that would be a travesty. But if they were, they could hopefully, learn from it and potentially pull off a run similar to Portugal 5 years ago. And I think they will do just that, as I believe they will win against England and go into the semifinals. And last but not least, for my quarterfinal prediction is Ukraine-Turkey. And again, two teams that are very evenly balanced, and it wouldn't surprise me either team made it into the semifinal. But I just feel like Turkey, if they got to the stage, there's nothing stopping them. They're a cohesive team unit, and who believe that no one can really compete with them. And I was just so impressed with their performance in the qualifiers that I think it's a testament to how they will perform in this competition. And for that, I think Turkey will earn themselves a spot in the semifinals, and for which our final four starts with Italy versus France. And this will be one of the biggest tests France has seen in the entire tournament. And I think it'll be a very close game, but ultimately, I think France just has the extra something that Italy doesn't have. And France's midfield will be able to take advantage of the likely depleted midfield for Italy at this point. And if France is able to get back Karim Benzema for the knockout stages, there's nothing stopping them. And I think they'll also be able to take advantage of Italy's uh, vulnerable defense and ultimately get into the final of Euro 2020, of which they will face, and to be determined, Netherlands or Turkey. And Netherlands going into this matchup is definitely the more superior team, but I think that Turkey is destined to make a Cinderella run in this tournament. And in my opinion, Hakan Çalhanoğlu will have the tournament in his life, and with their youth at defense, and whether it be Kagler, Soyuncu, they're really not talked about enough. And I think that they will make it to the final of the European Championships to face off against a familiar foe, one who they faced off in qualifying and one who they've beaten before in France. And with the Euros, anything is possible. I mean, you look at very rarely do you see the best team winning this tournament, whether it be in 1992 when Denmark won, having not even really officially qualified for the tournament, or 2004 when Greece won, or 2016 when Portugal won. It's really one of the most unpredictable tournaments in the world, and that's what I love about it. Unfortunately, and while I could see Turkey winning this entire tournament, I just think their luck will run out in the final, and I just don't see, unless France has a complete just nightmare and just craps the bed and gets out of the group stage, doesn't get out of the group stage, which I just can't envision seeing that happen. And as a result, I am going to put my foot down and predict that France will win the Euro 2020 tournament. So there you have it. I know I might be basic having France win, but I just want to have some stability, and I think that they are easily the best team in this entire competition. And it'll be interesting to see how this tournament plays out. This will not happen anywhere close to it, but regardless, it's just for fun, and I love this competition, and it'll be interesting to see it play out. And say France EC for the victory. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed my in-depth preview into every group in the Euro 2020 tournament, and I vehemently look forward to when they go on starting today, and for which after every game I will be doing a small little reaction. And without further ado, let's get into the tournament. See you next time.